Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to a delayed The Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. Big show tonight. Big show tonight. I need to kill some myths because I'm tired of the pestering ignorance of those on the left. Have had enough. I am very sorry I'm late as well. It's the problem of trying to be the producer, the director, the executive producer, and all that stuff, and all the technical stuff. Nevertheless, so glad to have you here. Listen, Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream live stream. Glad to have her. Love her dearly. Mary Brockman, my bouncer, with us tonight. Wonderful card I received from my bouncer. Dave Milner is with us tonight as well in the chat role at the Exceptional Conservative Show. Is that the puppy monkey baby? Puppy monkey baby. No, actually it's the Urban Gauntlet. And let me put that in there. Copy that right there. Dave Milner, thank you for asking. There you go. Deborah Blair is in the room. We love you. Thank you so much for being here. My bouncer sent me a card that said, this time in your life isn't easy, but you're walking through it with such a clear reflection of God's grace. Still, there must be days that are harder than others when you feel like this is more than you can handle. In those moments, your heart is in a perfect place. A place where God's strength will be there to give you everything you need. You're in my prayers often and in His care always. May your day be filled with His peace and strength. God bless you, Mary. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Thank you so much. And I got the note that you missed, Francine. Francine got that note as well. My bouncer, thank you so much. I love you. Big night tonight. Janis Hall will be with us. We got to go to a station break. I started late. One of these days I'm going to have a producer so that doesn't happen. Until such time, I want you to find your right hand, put it over your heart. We're getting ready to pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's a big night. I am putting myself on the line. And I do mean that physically as well as figuratively. I'm about to tear down some mountains that have mythologically been built up. This concept somehow that the Black Panther Party is the new 501c3, the new charity, the new church, because ladies and gentlemen, when I talk about Huey Newton embezzling money from children's program and everything else, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to tell you right off the bat, there are going to be some people in urban America, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Boston, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Dallas. There are going to be some people who are very upset with the exceptional one. But there is a lie that's going out on the internet. And I'm going to find your right hand, put it over your heart. It's going to be a big night.
Place your parents. Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, there are some sane folk in my family. And some crazy people in my family, too. And I want to thank them for being a part of my human experience. Oh, it was the one you sent the peaches. It wasn't from me. It wasn't from moi, Mary. It, I get nothing out of that deal. Absolute. I'm hurt. I don't know if I can go on. Tomorrow night, Sackheads Radio Nights. Definitely be here, especially in the chat roll. Ladies and gentlemen, there are those who wish to give you a whole lot of lies. One of them happens to be my cousin. Okay, I'm going to admit, because he's publicly doing it. And I am most contentious about it. The arrogance, the pride, the ignorance is beyond human expectation and acceptance. He has been, for the past few days, lighting up my Facebook page, the Kenneth McClinton Facebook page, with a litany of euphoric, utopic mythology. You see, it virtually all started when I pronounced the Black Panther movement as a radical, leftist, racist, terrorist organization. You see, as a black man, you're not supposed to do that. And it's amazing how people on the left who would not normally call me black want me to be black when it comes to issues of siding with the Nation of Islam and siding with the Confederate flag, fighting against the Confederate flag, which is not the flag of the Confederacy. It is the battle flag of Stonewall Jackson. But who knew? And General Lee. But who knew? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that there are those who are out there who might find this so poignant tonight as to describe it as a threat against them and their well-being and may take action. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because in my family also there are wise people. You know, there's a battle right now over whether the President of the United States should actually nominate someone for the vacancy on the Supreme Court. And listen, I don't have a problem with him doing it. You nominate away. But there are 4 ways that you can stop it. One, it can be brought to the Judiciary Committee and held up in Judiciary. Either the chairman can say, I'm not going to listen, or they vote it down in Judiciary. Number 3 is that they put it on the Senate floor and Mitch McConnell decides he's not going to hear it. Or if he hears it, that the Republicans voted down. But it doesn't matter. He has every constitutional right, and no one's questioning his constitutional right to do it. But my cousin, Mark Harmon, understands exactly what I understand. He says Senate resolutions mean nothing. I agree in principle that in an election year, the president should defer. But it's not against the law or Constitution. Mark Harmon, we concur. The point is deference rather than conflict. Marcel Lee, love you, man. Facts never got in the way of a liberal argument. The bottom line is, number 1, the Senate Democrats, the Jim Crow Democrats, who are still part of the KKK, are still part of the Democrat Party, passed a resolution 334 in 1960 so that the president does not make recess appointments to SCOTUS during election years. And that was in retaliation to Eisenhower nominating William Brennan Jr. Anthony Kennedy was appointed in November of 1987 after the Senate Democrats voted to block Robert Bork in an unprecedented fashion, thus coining the term Bork. Kennedy was confirmed in early 1988 only because of the Bork incident, but was not an election year appointment despite Democrat claims. And then finally, Senator Obama voted against Justice Roberts and filibustered Samuel Alito. He said he disagrees with the view that the president has the complete authority to appoint his nominee and that the Constitution calls for the Senate to advise and consent. So we talked last night about the simple matter that the Republicans in the U.S. Senate, in order for there not to be a recess appointment, could keep the Senate open for the rest of the year. How do they do that? Well, they never recess. You just have senators from the great state of Virginia and Pennsylvania and Delaware and North Carolina possibly and West Virginia. Wherever you can find them within the region, that they stay and they occupy the Senate floor and they carry out the business of the Senate. That way you'll never have to worry about recess appointment. Has it been done before? Yes, it's been done before. However, Looney Tunes on the left, libtards on the left, idiots on the left want to stage this as some type of referendum on race. The comment is, and you'll see it via Facebook, it's a litany. They just constantly throwing it in. And I don't mind you throwing stuff into my site, but there's some stuff I'm just going to take off because it's my site and I don't want that crap up there. Number one, there is no racial identity involved in the selection of a Supreme Court justice. This is not a sport. This is politics. And quite frankly, this president has had twice the opportunity to seat someone on the Supreme Court. And I don't remember the gosh darn ignorant, blaspheming fools likened unto a certain doctor who comes and blights my Facebook page with this ignoramus, Mimi, that somehow it's a racial thing because the Republicans do not want a liberal to be placed. How ignorant do you have to be? Literally put, if you were to align a liberal right now to the Supreme Court, it would literally eliminate the U.S. Constitution altogether. You would suddenly have a United Nations Human Rights Order soon on the books, if not in this year, certainly the next time there is a Democrat in office as president. We would be so far removed from our founding fathers, you might as well tear up the paper. It's all over. The power should not be rested in the Supreme Court. It should be rested in we the people. But we have moved so far to the left that the third article, which is the weakest link of all three checks and balances, has become the most powerful of all three checks and balances. And this president has had two opportunities. Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. Sotomayor was a judge. Kagan, considered a constitutional scholar. He's had two choices. It is the privilege of the president to come, not the president that was, to choose the next one. And I hope, because the time will be coming, that this is an example of where there will be maybe three more in the next Listen, I'm not trying to cast omnipotence and omnipresence that I know the future so vividly that I can tell the date and time and the hour that someone were to pass away. But the likelihood of the U.S. Supreme Court remaining in its current state over the next 2 terms is quite literally almost impossible. So literally you will have maybe 4 in the next go round. Plus this one. Already there are only 5 real conservative constructionists on the Supreme Court. It's not about race, you idiot. And Dr. Michael Jones, take it off the wall. Take it off the wall and do it now. Every time you send me a meme like this, it bastardizes what you have put on the wall as a doctorate. You make me more genuine than you. In your attempt to belittle me and my political opinions, in your attempt to make me look as if I am less aware of my heritage and my progeny, and your attempt to make yourself look blacker than me, you do yourself injustice and you do me as well. It's an insult. Magnanimous insult, not to me, but to you. And what you have on your wall that says that you have achieved more educationally than I have. And yet I'm wiser than thee. Why? Because I do not allow ideological prejudices to get in the way of factual well-being. Truth is what it is. You ain't gotta like it. You ain't gotta love it. You can hate it with all of your heart, but the truth of the matter is the Black Panthers were a racist group back in the 60s and no different than they are now. How do we know that we're going to prove that? Was it racist to allow the black president to make 2 selections? Was it racist? Were we being bigoted? No. In fact, 203 of his judicial appointments have been approved by this rhino Congress. Only 2 have been rejected, and by golly, they might be Supreme Court Justice nominees by the end of the day. Is that racism? Or is it merely that you don't know the truth because you can't handle it? We'll be back. Black Panthers, racist organization where libtards of today are trying to tell you, like they do the gang members in their community, which go out and kill 290 people in a single year. Gang members. See, those gang members, all they have to do is throw a party in the neighborhood and give some people sneakers, and then everybody get quiet. I don't know what's going on. I didn't see nothing. So was the Black Panther movement. We'll be back. I'm lit. I'm on fire tonight. We're going to blow this brother asunder.
I'm a good person. I never bothered anybody. But I can't afford a nice house in a safe neighborhood. I live in a government high-rise. Gangbangers and drug dealers walk down our halls every day. My neighbors and I were scared. We called the police, but they can't keep us safe. Some of us are too afraid to even leave our apartments. But the housing authority told me if I bought a gun to protect myself, they throw me to the streets. If I'm not free because of my address today, what makes you think you'll be free tomorrow? I marched behind Martin Luther King at Selma. I know my rights. Now I have my gun. I am the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I'm a mom, and just like millions of other women, that's why I own guns. We're responsible, we're law-abiding, and we're everything that makes America strong. Every day we're willing to use a firearm to defend our families. But the media will never tell those stories. If a mom puts a gun to the face of a home-invading thug and makes him run for his life, the story gets buried. But if she's unarmed and murdered, the cameras will be at the scene before the police. It's time for moms like me to speak out. We are the majority. We demand the freedom to defend our families. And we challenge the media to tell the truth about our rights. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Time for an unpleasant blind guy. Conservative, but news consumers don't have a lot of time, so picking the right news outlet is always important. The issues that these outlets cover can help people make the right choices on where to get their news. One issue is highlighted in a story posted on January the 19th by Damon Bears, tech editor for the Huffington Post, with the headline, "Video games might have a butt problem." Games often emphasize the rumps of female characters, while male characters have their posteriors hidden. That's according to a new video published on YouTube on Tuesday by Anita Sarkeesian's Feminist Frequency channel, which has been a major source of controversy for some people, rallying under the Gamergate banner. The latest video spotlights marketing materials and gameplay footage from several video games to illustrate how female characters are often sexualized. This, by Ms. Sarkeesian and the Huffington Post, is considered to be an issue that you should pay attention to, along with other such issues as income inequality and global warming. Other outlets, such as the Exceptional Conservative Show, hosted by Ken McClinton, prefer to focus on stories affecting real people, such as that posted on February the 9th by Jackie Benson of WRC-TV Channel 4, Washington, D.C.
DC Fire and EMS has had so many medical directors over the last decade that the resignation of Dr. Gillette Saucy might not have even made the news, except for her resignation letter.
I took an oath a really long time ago, and I take it incredibly seriously.
The 4-page resignation letter that marks the end of Dr. Gillette Saucy's 7 months as medical director of DC Fire and Emergency Medical Services is brutally frank. In it, she cites a near-complete lack of departmental cooperation with her mandate from Mayor Muriel Bowser to reform and raise the quality of the district's ambulance service, specifically training.
Being unable to assess where we were from a baseline so that I could guide the training appropriately was a red flag.
In our conversation tonight, she referenced the 2006 death of David Rosenbaum and the 2014 death of Medrick Cecil Mills. Each man's death was the subject of an extensive investigation into improper care by first responders. Each time, city officials promised change. Dr. Saucy's resignation letter added another name to that list, a reference, one she clearly agonized over, to what she called the survivable injury of a 35-year-old man who died after being stabbed Wednesday morning. She wrote, "It took more than 18 minutes for a transport ambulance to arrive," adding, "We failed this young man, and it did not make the news."
Just like Mr. Mills and any other names that we could talk about, Mr. Rosenbaum, they deserve to know that their lives are not lost in vain.
I spoke tonight to Ed Smith. He is with the union that represents rank and file DC Fire and EMS members, and he told me that the union did offer a number of alternatives to Dr. Saucy's plan for a comprehensive, very comprehensive assessment of training and procedures.
Jackie Benson, thank you. We also just heard from Mayor Bowser's office about this. The spokesman says, quote, the mayor is committed to reforming fire and EMS and has put in place a fire chief and supporting team to do just that. He went on to say, we are committed to improving patient outcomes and delivering the change that residents expect and deserve.
And as those who have listened to the Unpleasant Blind Guy or the Exceptional Conservative show understand, for the past 2 years, this commitment has only taken the form of words. You have the choice where to get your news. From outlets that highlight trivial and made-up issues, or outlets committed to holding government responsible for its actions. For your own sake, choose wisely. This has been an Unpleasant Blind Guy, conservative, but...
Welcome back, kids. We're rocking this joint. Got one more thing I want to say before we really get into this thing. Kick it! Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say there are people, a lot of people around the world that go to Kenneth McClinton on Facebook, and they make their commentary. And listen, you know for a fact that I rarely lose a debate. I can't think of the last one that I lost, presenting the good news of Christianity, conservatism, constitutionalism, and capitalism. I haven't lost one, especially to libtards. So when libtards put something on my website, I can defend it, or at least defend my opinion against it. So when someone comes on, like a few moments ago, 7 minutes ago in fact, and say to me, for being a conservative, you post an awful lot from Occupy Democrats. Whether you are posting for the sensationalism factor or not, the net effect is that this meme gets plastered across everyone's timeline and replastered every time someone comments on it. Please stop furthering their cause. Several times lately I had to stop and wonder, WTF is he posting? First and foremost, now, there is something called delete. Help me out, Dave. Is it still working? Is delete still working on? You ain't got to see what's on my website. You can go away. Stop telling other people what to do with their websites. Now, if I was putting out porno, that would be one thing. If I was putting out pictures of Beyonce doing her grind on the football field, that would be another thing. But don't come to my site and tell me what to put on my site, because then I question whether you're conservative. Delete works, block works, ignore works, it all works. You know, in fact, there's almost no unemployment on Facebook. It all works. So, Mr. Patterson, I love you, sir. And I would hate to miss you as a fan and a friend. But you know, the door swings. And you can take it on the way out. You're a big guy. You can handle it. If someone posts something to my site, I have always given the luxury of the First Amendment. There are some things I will take down because they are just obstructionally errant. And some of those things about the Black Panthers recently been popping up on my thing I have been getting rid of. But don't come and tell me what to put on my site. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you have a problem with what's on my site, then you can ignore it, you can delete it, or you know what? You can delete me as a friend. Now, I despise Michael Hughes' ideology, and I despise the fact that he uses material that he doesn't research on his own, which confounds me that he's a PhD and he doesn't do his own research. and he promotes a great deal of ignorance, but I'm willing to fight the ignorance with truth. And I believe my ability to deliver it will overcome any concern or injury. I believe that. You ain't got to stay. My wife tells me all the time, you ain't got to stay. You can go. Let the door hit you when the sunlight can't meet you. It's all right. But you know what? In this election, we might be getting rid of some phony conservatives and some ignorant libtards. We just might be able to take back this country. We're going to fight the powers that be. I want to take you now to October 28th, 1967. I was a year old at this time. But there was a meme that went out earlier this week from Michael Hughes that said that the Black Panthers never killed a single white person, although the Ku Klux Klan killed thousands of black. Well, also, what you didn't include, the KKK killed thousands of whites as well, but don't want to quibble with you because racism isn't your point of view, is it, Mr. Hughes? I'm not going to call you doctor anymore. You should take that thing right up off the wall. Whoever educated you, the miseducation of Negro, profoundly seen in your life. But there is evidence of several killings of white people by the Black Panthers. I'm going to play a clip of one of them, October 28th, 1967. And not only was he a white person, Caucasian, Caucasoid, however way you wish to say it, El Gringo, however way you wish to say it. He was a police officer, too.
The shooting happened at 5 a.m., approximately where I'm standing, on 7th Street, in the heart of Oakland's Negro ghetto. A pool of blood marks the spot where 23-year-old Officer John Frye was found fatally wounded from 4 gunshots. Officer Frye, the father of a 3-year-old daughter, had been on the force a little more than a year. Patrolman Herbert Haynes, who came to Frye's aid, is hospitalized in critical condition. He was found nearby, shot 3 times, in the chest, arm, and leg. The suspect, charged with murder and attempted murder, is Huey Newton, 25-year-old leader of the Black Panthers for Self-Defense, an Oakland-based group that advocates arming all Negroes against what they call their white oppressors, especially police. The same group caused a storm when they entered the state capitol heavily armed earlier this year to protest anti-gun legislation. Newton is hospitalized in serious condition and under heavy guard. He staggered into Kaiser Hospital at 5:40 this morning with gunshot wounds in the abdomen. It is believed he was wounded by Officer Haynes. Newton was later transferred to Highland Hospital. Because of the condition of the 2 survivors of the pre-dawn shootout, exact details are missing. Police say Newton and an accomplice were in this car when stopped by Officer Frye. The car left at the murder scene is known to be one used by heavily armed Black Panthers to patrol Negro neighborhoods looking for what they say are incidents of police brutality. It is known Officer Frye was able to make several radio transmissions to check on possible warrants for the 2 suspects before he was killed. Newton and his accomplice fled on foot. It is believed Newton commandeered a car to take him to the hospital. Inspector Roland Fort has charge of the investigation. Police say Officer Frye's murder is the first time an Oakland policeman has been killed in the line of duty in nearly 20 years. A huge manhunt is on for the second suspect in that killing, who is still at large. Ben Williams, KPIX News, in Oakland.
I want you to understand something here. 20 years has passed between 1947 and 1967. Not one police officer was killed in Oakland, California. Oakland, California, A. But Huey Newton, always on the lookout for those racist, police brutality oriented individuals. shot and killed Officer John Frye. Now, John Frye wasn't some 60-year-old overweight cop coming out of the donut shop trying to chase him down and, out of breath. Don't know why I'm not behind a desk by now. He was a 23-year-old Oakland police officer. 23 years old. You see, Blue Life Matters began right about here. We can go back as far as Bonnie and Clyde in terms of the respect of life, but literally the militant organization of individuals who sought to injure police for the sake of past reports of police injuring people. Violent, this group was, but in their violence, they had the cover of darkness called good deeds. And they used those good deeds to propel themselves as a unique group of individuals who sought the betterment of their community in the hopes and dreams and aspirations of children. Can I interrupt here just one moment? Because you might be thinking to yourself, well, Ken, you're on a roll here with the black. I did not know that Huey Newton had killed a police officer. But Huey Newton, he was the founder of the Black Panther movement. He and Bobby say, I didn't know they had killed a white police officer. Oh, I didn't know that. And you're not supposed to. The only thing you're supposed to know is that there are bags of groceries on the ground, and the Black Panther founder is walking around looking at the bags of groceries. And I want you to understand something about tyrannists. Whether it is Mao Zedong or Huey Newton, PR is very important for tyrannists. You see, Stalin knew he was killing people left and right, but what Stalin wanted to do is to make certain that you knew he was okay. See, when you just accepted him because he was doing these nice things by making certain that you had an apartment with heat, or your field received more seed than maybe somebody else, winkety wink wink. When your self-interest and self-preservation took hold, you would allow yourself to believe any myth. Here's a myth for you. What's the origin of the Easter Bunny and Easter eggs? I think it's timely. Can I delve into some other areas that most conservative talk show hosts would never navigate into? Well, it's thought the word Easter comes from the pagan figure Easter, or Eoster, who was celebrated as the goddess of spring by the Saxons of northern Europe. A festival called Easter was held during the spring equinox by these people to honor her. Of interest in the world's relation to East, Ost in German, the name of a celebration of the sunrise and a change of season was eventually applied to the Christian celebration of the resurrection of Christ in the new era he heralded. The goddess Easter's earthly symbol was the rabbit, which was also known as a symbol of fertility. Since rabbits and hares give birth to large litters in the early spring, it's understandable that the rabbit is a symbol of fertility. The legend of the Easter Bunny bringing eggs appears to have been brought to the United States by settlers from southwestern Germany. The German tradition of the Easter Bunny, or Osterhase, migrated to America in the 1800s, likely accompanying German immigrants, many of whom settled in Pennsylvania. Over the past 200 years, the Easter Bunny has become the most commercially recognized symbol of Easter. In the legend, the Easter Bunny, also called the Easter Hare and the Spring Bunny, brings baskets filled with colored eggs, candy, and sometimes toys to the homes of children on the night before Easter. In much the same way as Santa Claus is said to deliver presents on Christmas Eve. So you got Santa in the winter and the Easter Bunny in the spring. The Easter Bunny will either put the baskets in a designated place or hide them somewhere in the house or garden for the children to find when they wake up in the morning, giving rise to the tradition of the Easter egg hunt. Let me replace this. In the legend of the Black Panther movement, the so-called Black Panther, or brother from another mother, brings groceries and other giftings and toys and clothes to homes of children where they have infested the neighborhood with their blight of terrorism, of criminality. In much the same way as Al Capone did with his mob, or Mao Zedong did with his Red Guard, or as Stalin did with the Bolsheviks. You see, when you're a tyrannist, the tyrannical bunny that you are, you always put the good things out so that people will see them. But oftentimes, those good things are covering up some things that are wrong. Easter Bunny doesn't exist. The gangs and criminals and tyrannists do. When we come back after this break, I want to talk with you about a woman named Betty Van Patter. Remember that meme that came out that said that the Black Panther Party never killed a white person? We just showed you one. I'm about to show you number two. Based on my presentation of these evidences, the Black Panther Party is everything the libtards tell you they're not.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage, and they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredient. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burger. When we keep the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on next to the meat that we have. pepper jack cheese to this burger. Spice it up a bit. Order up.
Yes, if you are hungry like Dave Milner is, then what you should be doing right now is scheduling your pickup at Infused Restaurant. You can order. They also cater. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. Their telephone number is 301-449-9000. Now, some of you all, InfusedInfused.com, are coming to CPAC, InfusedInfused.com. And you're going to have a very good time, InfusedInfused.com. So while you're having such a wonderful time, InfusedInfused.com, what you should do is make certain that you come over to InfusedInfused.com, so you would be able to enjoy, because they're not too far from the Gaylord, and you can shuttle or drive with someone, InfusedInfused.com, and definitely have some of the greatest food in the world. Absolutely greatest food. Had a conversation with Derek Williams. They need to take their business to Georgetown and all over the place. Their food is just off the hizzy. The hizzy. I want to thank this evening High Plains Talk Radio, SHR Media, and Rebooting Liberty for broadcasting us at the various times of the day that they do. You're listening live on Ustream and live stream to the Exceptional Conservative Show from the nation's capital, where we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. In the chat roll this evening is the beautiful, the lovely Mary Brockman, who is my bouncer. You know what? If I could get CPAC to do anything, Dave, it would be a miracle. But CPAC doesn't listen to black people like me. No, they don't. You have to be a complete sellout to the establishment. I said it. I'm not afraid. I said it. Mary Brockman, if you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Dave Milner in the chat row. He's the unpleasant blind guy. You heard him earlier with his unpleasant butt. Beautiful. Loved it. And as well, Deborah Blair, we love you. Thank God for you. Glad to have you here. And Mrs. Biggs is watching via Ustream or live stream. So I love her and glad that she is listening to me. If there are any problems whatsoever, she's going to run in here and tell me what those problems are. As he said in Babylon, fine, bro. Faith manages. Okay. We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We'll see what we can do. Betty Van Patter was born in 1932. She died December 13th, 1974. She was a bookkeeper for the Black Panther Party. Betty Van Patter was beaten and killed in a crime which has never been solved. After serving as a bookkeeper for Ramparts magazine, Van Patter became an aide to Panther leader Elaine Brown in 1974 after being introduced to the party by David Horowitz. David Horowitz has never gotten over this. Van Patter went missing on December 13, 1974. Had only been with him for a short time, in fact. Some weeks later, her severely beaten corpse was found on a San Francisco Bay beach. There was insufficient evidence for police to charge anyone with Van Patter's death, but the Black Panther Party was almost universally believed to be responsible, as journalist Frank Browning wrote in 1987. Christopher Hitchens wrote in the Los Angeles Times that there is no doubt now, and there was precious little then, of the Panther leadership's complicity in this revolting crime. I want to read to you something that you would be aghast with. Something that Dr. Michael Hughes wouldn't want you to read. Wouldn't want you to know. Because it dispels his myth. And it may force him, alter him, to think differently. It may not, because for liberals, the truth is a variance of their lie, and as long as they can lie, they don't need the truth. The truth is a solace. It helps them sleep through the night when they remember all the babies that have been killed for abortion. It helps them sleep through the night when they call the radical gangs actual liberation organizations. It helps them sleep through the night when they can call people, even in their own skin tone, racist for having a divergent ideological opinion. Or in my particular case, a principled opinion based on a way of life. See, to him, facts are merely things to avoid on the speed bump to getting your lie out to the world. And if you can convince enough people, then you have won. But the Michael Thomasons, instead of arguing with me about what's popping up on my site, they should become educated so they can fight back and educate those in their own communities against the ignorance being submitted. You see, this ignorance goes out to kids. And kids are learned to believe in the Easter bunnies of the gangs in their neighborhood. The police killers. And they are made to look up to them as heroes rather than villains. I want to read this to you real quick, and then we're going to pick this up on the third quarter. Janis Hall will be delivering great news. Seale is now apparently ungagging himself, and this is the great Bobby Seale, who is one of the founders of the Black Panther movement. Seale is now apparently ungagging himself about the Panther past. In a recent speech at a Panther reunion, he confessed that the Panthers were little more than extortionists, gangsters, and murderers, and that they killed Betty Van Patter, whose murder remains unsolved to this day. I'm putting this in the chat roll for you. I want you to send it out tonight, and you all do a great job sending this stuff out to the world, but I just want you to put this out tonight. See, because lazy people like Michael Thomason won't do the research, but they will complain about stuff coming to them. They won't do the research, but they'll complain about stuff coming out on their site. And even delete people like me, because I don't want to take away the First Amendment rights of others. I just want to dash them with brilliance of the truth. I want you to know that Bobby Seale confessed that the Panthers were little more than extortionists, gangsters, and murderers, and that they killed Betty Van Patter. Sounds like the case has been solved. I wonder, is there someone in my community who's like Bobby Seale and knows who killed my daughter? We'll be back.
Right swipe.
It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe.
That sounds like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
This must be some kind of joke. If I make your mouth tight and my mouth tight, if you're good in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye bye. I just left swipe, left swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff. Hashtag flexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the 6-pack abs, now the 6 packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie. Whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. Hottie! I just couldn't overlook one small fact.
She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If I make your mouth tight and my mouth tight, if you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye bye. swipe it left. You gotta swipe it left. It's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that. Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking you from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. It's the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
Hashtag! I'll never remember you. Right, swag.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You know we're winning this battle, man. Yeah, man. Like the breeze breaking off the ocean, man. We are going to have a very good time tonight, man. Yes, we are. This is the paradise of truth, baby. Breaking it down so that you might understand it, man. Yeah, man. This is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. I am the host. Oh, the exceptional one. Back it up now. I'm Ken McClinton. I am not afraid of the truth. I break the truth down so that you might be able to understand it, man. And then after you pick yourself up, as I lift out my hand to help you, you can put that right hand right on your chest, man, right here, man, where the heart be beating, man. And then you can pledge allegiance to the United States of America, man, as we do every night, after every half, man. In the chat room this evening, Mary Brockman, my girl, oh, fierce woman of God, yes she is. Mary, quite contrary, ah, yes. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed, man. Dave Milner be in the house, man. Yeah, man. He be smoking the ganja, taking his father, drinking it like he was his father. I'm sorry, Dave Milner, man. He be in the house, he's the unpleasant blind guy, man. And then there is a woman from the Caribbean, man. Yay, man, yay. Some Deborah Blair. Living in the second best country in the world. In her opinion. And then, of course, my beautiful wife, who I truly love, Mrs. Biggs, who is watching us via live stream and Ustream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope that you're having a very good time. Tonight at 10 p.m., the lovely, the beautiful Janis Hall will be joining us. And we're going to connect with her in a few moments.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com.
There is one other participant in the conference. Please announce yourself.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. I am the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, and in our green room right now, and we're bringing her right out, is the lovely, the beautiful, Yes, Janis Hall, who is our award-winning official world news commentator for the Exceptional Conservative Show. God bless you. Glad to have you here.
Always glad to be here, Ken. Thank you so much.
Listen, we got the pic. We got that picture, sister. Oh, what a beautiful... you are a beautiful young lady. And yes, you are. And we really thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and getting your hair done and your nails done. I don't know why you got the nails done. Well, actually, I guess they were part of the part of the picture. But Janis, we love you. We really appreciate what you do for us every Tuesday night. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody in the world could do what you do. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me get you some news.
I'm ready for some news, Janis. I'm ready for some real news. Tell us, what's the big story in the world today?
Okay, so I want to start off with the European Union. And there's 4 countries, so Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Poland, basically ex-Soviet countries. And they have this brilliant idea that they're going to build a fence to keep out the refugees. But they're going to build it on Greece's northern border. Because they don't believe, and rightfully so, that Greece cannot keep the illegal immigrants from coming into Greece, which is true. They really can't. And let's be honest, Greece has enough problems of its own. So they basically want to cut off Greece from Europe. Which, I mean, speaking, very,
that is so funny.
Real politics, it's not a bad idea.
If they can't do it with money, they're going to do it with a fence. Oh, you gotta love Europe.
Yes, I know. And while many former Soviet countries haven't seen a huge influx of those so-called refugees coming into their own countries, it's entirely possible, and they're certainly concerned, that if more continue to come, and if the more Western ones, Germany and Sweden and stuff, don't let them in, that the vote goes there. And I think, and let's be honest, nobody in Europe actually wants them.
Yeah.
They've made that pretty clear.
Now, I have a question for you regarding Greece. Because Greece is easy to pick on. They are the Mexico of Europe.
Oh, yeah. Greece. I know. Like, they have enough of their own problems. They can't help themselves, and yet they're somehow being expected to help everyone else as well.
So literally, Europe is giving up Greece. Is that what they're saying?
Pretty much. They're letting Greece spend for herself.
So Greece could become Turkey in a bit, just in a few months. Literally overrun with militant radicals from the Middle East who are considered, quote unquote, air quotes, refugees. They could swamp Greece in a heartbeat.
Yes. I mean, they already to some degree are.
Yeah, they are. They are indeed. So, are we going to help Greece? Are we going to be called in to help Greece since we're going to have now a humanitarian crisis?
No. I mean, we have done so much to help the situation already, right? Of course. No. It's a disaster, and it's a disaster because it was allowed to get out of hand. Because the Europeans, didn't have the foresight, which they should have had, and most people did have, that, allowing everyone to come in without any real checks was going to lead to everybody coming in. And, most of whom are not actually refugees.
But I have a question here. Shouldn't they put a fence around Germany? Since it's Germany that really has entertained having these guys by the hundreds of thousands piled into Europe. It was Germany who started this crap. Well, not started, but they really hyped up the whole process.
They really did.
They
really did.
So why isn't Europe getting on Germany's case?
Well, because that's harder to do. I mean, why do you want to pick on the big dog when you can pick on the little one?
Oh, man. It's so sad that Greece is a little puppy getting kicked around now. Oh, gee.
It is. I feel bad for Greece. It's not fair, really.
And you visited...
Not that international relations is ever fair.
Exactly. But you visited Greece.
Your friends should at least be, somewhat considerate of you.
Yeah, you visited Greece. You know how bad it really is.
It's not good.
Not good at all. So Greece, get ready. You're about to have a new fence around your borders. Welcome to Mexico. Want to ask you tonight on a very serious tip about the Kurds, because so many people have said, let's turn to the Kurds to help us in the fight against ISIS. Tell us what's seriously going on in northern Iraq.
Okay, so there was a report out today that, well, technically the report's not officially yet, but there was word that ISIS had in fact used mustard gas back in August against the Kurds. And this really marks, the first time that we've really seen essentially terrorists have, any, chemical, biological, nuclear weapons.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that for the rest of the world? Because I don't think the rest of the world understands how prolific and how powerful ISIS has gotten.
Yes. So ISIS basically back in August used, and we basically now have confirmation that they did in fact use chemical weapons, mustard gas, on Kurds in Iraq.
Bam. This is not your JV team.
No. No. And I think that that's one of the great concerns that everyone has when it comes to having, chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons in the Middle East is it's not that it's necessarily the state actors, such as in the case of Iran, who might have them be a problem, but that it could because those places are not known for their stability and do have sympathetic ties to terrorists, that those materials can end up in very dangerous hands to people who absolutely would use them.
Dave Milner's in our chat roll, and Dave Milner says that ISIS is now stronger than some European armies. Would you concur with that?
That is probably actually true.
Wow.
Not most.
But a few.
I mean, the mere fact that they actually have an army.
Certainly stronger than Greece. And they're sitting there, invaders on. But you have to have, firstly, some very great minds to use chemical weapons. Number one, this is not one of those haphazard kind of things that you find and you just throw it up. And so you have to have great minds. You have to have a great deal of wealth. And you also have to have a serious network of transfer, especially when the whole world is against you, of that particular type of chemical device. Did they get it from Russia?
Probably by a roundabout way. I mean, it probably very clearly came from Syria.
Yeah.
And Iraq, and it was weapons that those countries had that they should not have had, that we all agree they shouldn't have had. But they did, and when unrest happens, those weapons, those dangerous items, fall into hands that we really, really don't want people to have.
Exactly. Now, is there any, because this is serious, and it's not being, illuminated on the national front. No, I haven't heard it, and this is why we love having you on the air with us. I have not heard this anywhere on the national cable news outlets. They're more concerned about Donald Trump and what tie he's wearing today. This is serious stuff when you have mustard gas and chemical weapons. You have moved into a new echelon of threat.
Yes, you have. And it's not so much that, it's twofold. It's the fact that they have them and the fact that they use them. And that should be concerning for everyone. And yes, it did happen, almost, half a year ago. But I think as we've seen, ISIS is perfectly capable and willing to use whatever means necessary to instill fear.
Exactly. Will we support the Kurds at this point, or we are going to let ISIS have its reign, and then we'll keep firebombing from the skies?
I would imagine the latter. We do tend to, we are helping the Kurds to some degree, but not in any hugely significant way. Nobody is really assisting the situation in Syria, in Iraq, and the way it needs to be, dealt with. And that's one of the reasons why it's just crazy down there, and why it's going to continue to be a huge mess.
I agree with you. We're talking with Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Amongst all of its issues of having to deal with Yemen and also Iran and trying to patch things up with Israel so it can protect itself, what else is happening with our wonderful friend and the oil sheiks of Saudi Arabia?
Well, they are not happy with oil prices. And quite frankly, I can't blame them. Oil prices are really low right now. So they got together with Russia, Venezuela, and other OPEC countries, and they all decided that they were going to basically do a freeze of oil production. So, they're going to continue to produce oil, but they're not going to increase the number. They're going to stay at basically what they were outputting for January. However, this is dependent upon Iraq and Iran also following suit. Now, the problem with those two countries is that Iraq wants to pump out a lot of oil because they have the problem of ISIS to deal with.
Yes.
And Iran wants to, it's finally essentially somewhat sanction free and wants to start taking advantage of that. So quite frankly, it's not looking all that hopeful. And I kind of think that we're still going to continue to see really, really low oil prices.
Especially when you got Texas and the Dakotas that are pumping oil out unceasingly. I mean, they're really tearing down the prices for crude oil. There's a question from the chat roll. Dave Milner asks, please ask Janis if she thinks Turkey will actually have the kahunas to attack Russia. Because they did say they could invade and take possession of Russia in 7 days. Can Turkey do it?
No.
You can do it!
No.
But are they really becoming quite injurious of each other? I mean, just certifiable enemies at this point.
They have, and they're definitely, this whole situation in Syria is causing them even more tension to happen between those two countries. So yeah, they're not going to be friends anytime soon.
Someone's not going to a birthday party this weekend. Oh, good going, Turkey. That's the way to do it. Now, there's some other issues around the world that are happening. And I want to bring attention to 3 Americans that were kidnapped in Baghdad. And how they were under the radar screen while we were focused on Iran and all the other issues in the Middle East.
Yeah. So, essentially, while we had the State of the Union going, and everybody was focused on that, essentially Americans were kidnapped in Baghdad.
Wow.
And they really, didn't get very much press. And it still continues to not get very much. They have been freed, which is, good.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, generally speaking, it's the situation in Iraq basically continues to deteriorate. We have obviously ISIS, and now there's militias, and that's essentially what happens. With these people, they're basically taken by militias, and it's essentially Iraqis. And the government is having a very, very difficult time keeping any semblance of control, and it's falling to people who want to exercise authority to do so.
That seems to be a common narrative for this administration. The lack of control in Libya, the lack of control in Egypt, the lack of control in Iran and Iraq, the lack of control in Afghanistan. And yet, when he was questioned today at a news conference for the Southwest Asian Summit, and we've been talking about those countries and we'll talk about it in just a few moments. He virtually said, I don't have any blame for any of this. It's not my fault. Is it not his fault that there's a lack of control in all these particular places around the world?
Oh, it's absolutely his fault. If you are the main power in a region, in which, in the U.S.'s case, that's a region generally the entire world, and ridiculous things happen, it's definitely your fault, or partially your fault. Are bad things going to happen? Yes.
Yeah.
Have things been completely out of control and far worse than they probably ever would have been had someone intervened? Yes. And that is absolutely on him. And I will say that it's on everyone else, every other country that has the capability to do things and to intervene, and who have not as well. And that definitely includes a lot of Western Europe,
Yes.
who are now, you know, crying and incredibly upset that with this chaos in the Middle East that they didn't take any responsibility of, you know, being involved in or, you know, helping to calm down is now coming to them.
I want to ask you real quick because we're going to run out of time and we only have about 2 minutes left. And this always happens when you come on. But in regards to Iran, are they doing something right now that they're not supposed to do? And is this administration going to continue to allow them to do it?
So Iran and Russia are discussing some arms deals. And Iran would like to get some weapons. Weapons that they shouldn't have. And then they probably will, and we will probably not do anything about it. We will continue to let them pump oil and keep sanctions lifted, and there you go. That is life.
So the weapons that we're talking about, these are not like guns and, you know, hand grenades. What weapons are we talking about that Iran?
No, we're talking about tanks. We're talking about you know, I think aircraft.
Wow.
Big machinery, big guns.
Janis.
Anti-aircraft, you know, systems.
Wow. And we're paying for it, right? We're giving them back their money to pay for it. Simply.
But essentially, we're definitely letting them do this, even though they're not supposed to be.
Thank you, Obama. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. We love you. We appreciate you, and we look forward to you coming back next Tuesday night. Same time, same place. Wow. High-tech tanks and armaments. You gotta love them. Thanks, Janis.
Thank you.
Wow. When I grew up, I want to be Iran. We'll be back right after these messages. We will continue on our tearing down of the myths from the libtard left. John Hanson, the black president, the first black president of the United States. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe it.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That don't fit my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten.
Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
She's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
This must be some kind of joke. If I make your mouth tight and I'm not tight, if you're good in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye bye. I just left swipe, left swipe that. Swipe, you gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Swipe that. Swipe, you gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta left swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff. Hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape. Okay, I like the 6-pack abs, now the 6 packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If I make your mouth tight and I'm not tight, if you're good in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe, bye bye. I just left swipe,
left swipe that.
Swipe, you gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
Swipe, you gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with the tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy.
left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy.
Swipe that. Smoking with a duck face.
Swipe that. At a monster truck race.
Swipe that. Smoking at the prom.
Swipe that. Even at a photo bomb.
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
You critics don't define our honor. You try to shame us for doing our job. You teach children to fear us, crowds to attack us, and good people to doubt us. But we will never back down from our sworn duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. We wake up every day, put on our badge, strap a gun to our hips, kiss our families goodbye, and put our lives between the law-abiding and any criminal who threatens their rights. We serve people of every color and creed, men, women, and children in violent, dangerous neighborhoods, because they have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as CEOs, movie stars, and the political elite. We are Americans, and we are the American police officer. We stand with the National Rifle Association of America, and the NRA stands with us. Together, we're freedom's safest place.
I'm a mom, and just like millions of other women, that's why I own guns. We're responsible, we're law-abiding, and we're everything that makes America strong. Every day, we're willing to use a firearm to defend our families. But the media will never tell those stories. If a mom puts a gun to the face of a home-invading thug and makes him run for his life, the story gets buried. But if she's unarmed and murdered, the cameras will be at the scene before the police. It's time for moms like me to speak out. We are the majority. We demand the freedom to defend our families. And we challenge the media to tell the truth about our rights. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the Fuse restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage, and they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and green. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Inspire, indulge, infuse. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland 20748. It's 301-449-9000. 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. My wife and I went there last week, and we just enjoyed ourselves incessantly. It is nothing better than eating. They have a wonderful brunch there. I had a nice T-bone steak, scrambled eggs, and bacon. Oh, I'm going to tell you, Derek Williams has to roll me away from the table. He really does. And so I'm encouraging you. Infuse.com. Make your next fundraising event or catering event or whatever the event is, you need to be eating there. And if it's just a simple event of you getting up and going there, go. 301-449-9000. That's 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. We have reached the point of our program where we are commercial free. We go straight through to the very end, and we're glad to have you here in Washington, D.C., the Exceptional Conservative Show. We are the #1 urban conservative talk show in the world, I like to say, and certainly one of the most competitive conservative talk shows in the country. The reason is that unlike others who stick to the narratives, today I'm supposed to talk about Antonin Scalia. I'm supposed to talk about Obama and him wanting to replace Scalia. I'm supposed to talk about the simple fact that there's no autopsy, even though there was a pillow found over the top of the Justice Scalia. I'm supposed to talk about those particular things. And I'm supposed to talk about Donald Trump going third party independent. See, those are the narratives. Those are the talking points. They were issued this morning by the RNC. I'm supposed to talk about those. I'm lying. I didn't get anything from the RNC, so just saying. But in general, that's what they're talking about. I don't want to talk about those things. I want to talk about some real life issues. Like in Chicago. This was David Foley wrote this for Intellectual Takeout. And I'm going to put this in the chat roll. I put a lot of stuff in the chat roll so you know exactly where I'm getting my information from, and I'm not faking the funk with you. Ralph Chittum says he's been on the phone all night dealing with Baltimore and the DC GOP. My head and other body parts hurt right now. Welcome to the forum. Literally, the Intellectual Takeout reports, Devin Foley, 290 shootings, 50 dead. Am I talking about possibly Afghanistan? Am I Iraq, Syria? No, Chicago. In Chicago. In comparison to 2014, this time of the year, 51 people have died, 20 in 2014. In comparison to 2000, 45 people were killed in 2000, 51 people are dead today. And that number is growing. According to the USA Today, the police department has stated that gang conflicts. What is this? Gang conflicts. What? That gang conflicts and retaliatory violence drove the unacceptable increase in the homicides. But they are also no longer doing aggressive policing. Can I put that in there for you? I just want to put that in there for you. Gang conflicts and retaliatory violence has driven the increase in homicides. Well, how does that happen in urban America? It happens in urban America because we speak this way. And I want you all to, for those who have the opportunity, because Michael Hughes just wants to be heard so badly, and I've invited Michael Hughes to come on and spurt his ignorance. I'll give him 3 minutes because I can't take more of it. But apparently he wants it to be known Kenneth, many at a certain point do not even care about a political party any more than the fact that it exists. Some move and breathe and breath and have their within a political party. I hope that the latter is not the case with you. You see, but I want you to take a look at what he put up here. And this is why we need to tell Michael Hughes to take his degree off the wall. Just take it off the wall. You don't need the degree. You don't. Because the organization that gave you that degree is roundly being misadvertised. It really is. He says KK killings of innocent black people, 3,500. Black Panther Party killings of innocent white people, 0. We know for a fact, as of tonight, that's a bold-faced lie. We know that to be a bold-faced lie, but even when Michael Hughes is presented with the truth, look what Michael Hughes does. Michael Hughes refuses to focus on the truth. He wants to focus on keeping the dream alive, the myth alive, the legend alive, the lie alive. And then cast aspersion my way, saying that I am merely a political maggot, per se, a hack. While in Chicago, 51 people dead, 290 shot. And it's because of individuals like Dr. Hughes that glorifies the gang who is violent because they may do one or two good things in the community. I want to go before I... Oh my God, there is so much here. Bobby Seale admits Black Panthers were criminals and murderers. Now, see, if I were just to say this alone, if I were just to say that the Black Panthers were criminals and murderers, then you could say justifiably, prove your point. Go ahead, prove your point. But when the founder of the organization tells you right off the bat that the Black Panthers were criminals and murderers, and then you bold-faced come to me and tell me they gave groceries to babies, screw you, you ignoramus! Screw you! Don't you understand what they do? It's like a drug dealer who has reasoned that I can go to jail for selling drugs in the District of Columbia, but if I ask him to make a donation, that's not selling drugs. Held up in court. Evil is wise in its own means, and you make them more wise by taking advantage of your wisdom. You're brilliant. Michael Hughes, you're a brilliant man. How can you be used? How can you be used as a puppet for the libtards? What happened when they got in here and told you that because of the color of your skin, your degree didn't make a difference, when your degree puts you ahead of most people in the world? You spent more on your degree than most people spent on their houses. And this is the result? Ask for a refund. Dave Milner says progressives, when confronted with the truth, double down on the lie. And that's what's happening. Bobby Seals. This after former Marxist radical David Horowitz wrote about his time with the Black Panther Party in detail and described their criminality, much to the chagrin of the left, as the BPP were held as heroes. Since then, Seale has admitted the crimes of the BPP and completely vindicated Horowitz. Jamie Glasoff writes, Bobby Seale's confession, David Horowitz was right on. And he writes, Betty Van Patten was one of the tragic victims of the Holocaust in its beginning stages. Unfortunately, that potential Holocaust did not animate itself into a larger force. And this is for my good friend, Lonnie Poindexter, who might take a listen here, since we're talking about Israel. Betty had been recruited by Horowitz in the early 1970s to keep the books of a learning center in Oakland that he had created to run a school for the children of Black Panthers. So it was a Jew! It was a Jew, baby! The people they hated most helped them the most. Go figure. A leftist radical at the time, Horowitz had become affiliated with the Panthers after he met their infamous leader, Huey Newton, and became enchanted with him. Horowitz didn't have a clue that the Learning Center served as a cover for Panther criminal activity. You see, I want to tell you something. Even telling Michael Hughes this, it won't make a difference to Michael Hughes. You see, Michael Hughes only knows one thing. He only knows the lie, and that it's more important to keep the lie than to deliver the truth. You see, if I tell people the truth now, then they would know that I was too ignorant to know the truth then. That I didn't actually do any research. I just took it at face value, and my bitterness and my hatred stand the test of time. Michael Hughes. This is Michael Hughes now. I'm telling you. Even though out of the words of Bobby Seale, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to witness exactly what a liberal does. Even when the hero tells you he is a villain, the boy can't diffuse the picture. I will never see you as a villain. You will always be my hero. Go take a look at what he just said to me. And I'm telling you from the words of Bobby Seale. Exactly. Horowitz didn't have a clue that the Learning Center served as a cover for Panther criminal activity. Michael Hughes writes, so is there a statute of limitation on murder? The answer is no. So shouldn't they be taking Bobby Seale in for murder since he confessed to killing Betty Van Patter? Kenneth, it is sad how dishonest you actually are. Sad as hell. I talked with Bobby Seale fairly recently, and that is a bunch of crap. Really? Really? Bring Bobby Seale on so we can talk with him about that, sir. Amazing that when the truth is presented, the lie remains. Can I tell you something? This is just another section here. I know a lot of people are going to hate me now. I love it. I love it. Go ahead, hate on me. We're going to hate Ken. We're going to fill up his Facebook page with stuff. Inside the Black Panther Party. This is Gangs, Police Magazine. I don't want to run out of time. For a short time, the Black Panthers maintained an office in Compton. My uncle Julio Hernandez was a Compton police officer at the time. In a related incident, he responded with his partner Johnny Cato to a shots fired call on Fig Street in the Fruittown gang area of Willowbrook. Two Compton brothers had been sitting on the front porch shooting their AK-47s at palm trees, a diversion to draw the police into an ambush. The front door of the residence had been booby-trapped with C4 military explosives, and the home was over an underground tunnel in which the Panthers had stockpiled weapons and explosives. In Vice, Baker describes how they avoided the booby traps and recovered a dozen MAC-10 submachine guns. All this occurred during the counterculture period of anti-authority and anti-war movements. The Black Panther Party programs of free breakfast for children, free buses for families visiting prisoners, drug and alcohol abuse awareness, consumer education, community health classes, free community pantry food, child development centers, welfare and veteran benefit counseling, disabled person services, drill teams, and community drama classes helped to soften the Panthers' harsh rhetoric and won over left-wingers, even some in the establishment. After shortening their name to the Black Panther Party in 1968, the Panthers focused their efforts on political action. Members who were traditionally recruited as brothers off the block continued to defend themselves against violence. They disarmed themselves with guns, and as more college student activists joined this group, a split began to emerge. For some, the Panther political and social programs became paramount, while others maintained their gang-like street mentality that had made them an icon in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what you say to this man. Michael Jones represents a very large number of African Americans that believe that not only because of their race they are subjugated to second-class citizenship, but a significant envy of African American, black, colored Negroes who don't look at the color of their skin as the reasoning for their subsistence in life, but believe in the scriptures that say that God shows no preference over Jew or Gentile. His preference in those who love the Lord. You see, it doesn't matter that I'm right. What matters is what Dave Milner just wrote, the 3 forbidden words of progressivism. I was wrong. You see, Michael Hughes would have to go back and tell everyone the truth. He would have to go back and tell his students that he was wrong. He would have to go back and say that the Black Panthers were cop killers. Oh, Ken, you only have one incident of them being a cop killer, right? Between the fall of 1967 to the end of 1970, as a result of confrontations between police and Black Panthers, 9 police officers were killed and 56 were wounded. The Panthers lost 10 members killed and an unknown number injured. During 1969, police arrested 348 Panthers for a variety of crimes. Outside the Black Panther Party headquarters in Portland, Oregon, on February 18, 1970, Black Panther Party member Albert Wayne Williams was shot by officers with the Portland Police Bureau. Although Williams was critically wounded, he made a full recovery. Black Panther member H. Rap Brown is currently serving a life sentence for the 2000 murder of Deputy Ricky Leon Kinchen of the Fulton County, Georgia Sheriff's Department and the wounding of another officer in a gun battle. Both of these officers were black. You see, it doesn't matter to Michael Hughes the truth. It doesn't matter to Michael Hughes that the Black Panther Party is really just a foundational tool, actually a transfer over from the KKK to the Black Panther to the Black Lives Matter movement of today. The antagonism towards police who sought to do justice. And you see, what Michael Hughes doesn't understand is that to the criminal mind, color doesn't really matter. It doesn't. See, the criminal mind sees only things that are in its way as its intended target. You see, if I had fallen in love with the Black Panther Party and believed that the child development centers and the community pantries and all that stuff were great and wonderful aspects of life, and I closed my eyes to what they did in the dark, I would be Dr. Michael Hughes. And if I knew that I overlooked so many negatives in order to justify one positive. You see, I would ask Dr. Hughes at this particular juncture, why is it that the white police officers matter more than the black police officers? You see, you put out a sign, or Mimi, that says that they killed no white innocents. I suppose Betty Van Patter was guilty. I suppose James Frye, Officer James Frye, was guilty. And I suppose also Officer Kinchen were guilty. You see, what's even worse here is that the Black Panthers killed a black police officer. And still, they have a cheerleader in Dr. Michael Hughes, a teacher at the university level. Your children are not being educated at the college level. They're being indoctrinated. You see, because this side of the story never gets promoted regarding the Black Panther Party. The side of the story that gets promoted is, oh golly, they visited the prisoners and they did great things. They did great stuff! And they left a lot of blood on the floor. Long before Michael Jackson wrote those lyrics. I hope that you learned a lot tonight. There's so much more here. I can't get to everything. Huey P. Newton embezzling $300,000 from a children's program, and so much more. But I'll always have those who dearly love the imagery of tough guys coming into the neighborhood to protect them from the mean, nasty old white cop. Ignorance isn't colorblind either. It just is ignorance. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, Ralph Chittums will be joining us along with Shannon Wright. And in addition to that, my friends and my family, we will talk with the great Dr. Michael Jones on Thursday as we do our sneak preview of New Day Black and Red. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, is, of course, Sackheads Radio Nate, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, Free Socko. For all of you who tuned in tonight, I hope you learned a thing or two. And I'm okay with my life. Whenever my time is, it is. Far better for me to be with you, for it is a gain to be with him. A friend of mine told me, Ken, whatever you do, never die a coward. Live bravely. I promise you I always will. From all of us at the Exceptional Conservative Show out of Washington, D.C., where we're not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the Democrat. Remember always, God bless America. Now it's time for America to bless God. See you next week. Well, nope. See you tomorrow night.